Are we making America healthy again, or are we policing the poor? That is basically the question that Nebraska is about to answer with its pioneering reform of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, otherwise known as SNAP. Or with SNAP being the roughly $100 billion USDA program that helps feed some 42 million low-income Americans by subsidizing their groceries. While the federal government funds it, the state administers it. And what you saw in Nebraska was Trump's Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins announcing that starting next year, SNAP recipients will no longer be able to use food stamps to buy soda and energy drinks in the state. And for some additional context here, you should know that there are already some restrictions on what recipients can buy, namely alcohol, tobacco, and most controversially, hot foods, meaning they can't buy meals that are cooked for immediate consumption. And this is, it's also important to note, in the nearly 20 years since those rules were enforced in 2008, politicians have proposed restricting everything from bottled water and soda to chips, ice cream, and so-called luxury meats like steak. But the USDA, it's consistently rejected those proposals and saying that there is no clear standard to define certain foods as good or bad, with them also arguing that restrictions would be hard to implement, complicated, costly, and wouldn't necessarily change recipients' food purchases or reduce health problems. But now, with Trump in office, what was once unthinkable is now becoming policy, and it's expected to impact 152,000 people across Nebraska. Right? And this is, they're not alone in change, right? Some 6 other states, Arkansas, Colorado, Kansas, Indiana, Iowa, and West Virginia, have also requested waivers to ban certain foods and drinks or expand access to hot foods. Now, as far as the arguments that you're seeing from both sides, you have Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen, for example, saying,
"This is the first step to make sure that we help people that are in a lower socioeconomic status to make sure they can eat healthy again. We're not going to use government dollars to make people unhealthy."
Also, in a reference to RFK Jr.'s campaign to transform public health, you had Brooke Rollins calling it a historic step to make America healthy again and making the financial argument as well.
The number one cost driver in the SNAP program is sugary drinks. Junk food comes right behind it as well.
You had RFK himself writing back in September that it is nonsensical for U.S. taxpayers to spend tens of billions of dollars subsidizing junk that harms the health of low-income Americans. Then, on the other side, apart from arguments that I already mentioned about these reforms being costly and ineffective, others have argued that they're just simply cruel. With you seeing, for example, Current Affairs Editor-in-Chief Nathan Robinson writing back in February, "The rest of us will get guidelines. It's people who can't afford food that will get actual restrictions. Personally, I'm an egalitarian. I think if you're going to say that the government should take on the task of forcing people to modify their diets, it should do it for everyone, not just those who can't afford to eat." Adding, "Let them eat cake. No, really. People should have cake and a Coke or a Frappuccino too from time to time. If you want to make people healthy, there are better ways to do that, ones that don't involve insulting them or punishing them. Give them healthcare, increase their ability to walk or ride a bike or join a gym, crack down on corporate polluters. And most obviously, target the companies that make junk food, not the people who buy it." Ultimately, as we wait to see how this plays out, I gotta pass the question off to you on where do you land on this? Or do you think the reform and the changes that we're seeing in Nebraska, it makes sense, it's common sense, or are you of the mindset of, no, it's needlessly cruel and restrictive? Also, if you're someone that's needed SNAP, I'd really, really love your insight here. Hey, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this clip from the full Philip DeFranco show. And also, a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring our Clips channel. Turn your passion into profit over at squarespace.com/Phil, or use the QR code. Because whether you're launching a business or a lucrative side hustle, your website is your digital business card. It's the only space where you control the story, no algorithms or distractions. And with Squarespace, it's so easy because they got a ton of stunning professional templates with drag and drop editing that makes site design incredibly simple, no coding required. So get started for free at squarespace.com/Phil, or scan the QR code on screen and use code Phil for 10% off when ready to launch. Squarespace.com/Phil.